Hey, good morning, y'all. John with Empire Weather. Hope you guys are doing well. Having a great week. Happy Wednesday morning. We're here with the South American weather update. Just a brief update this morning, couple of minutes, taking us through the latest information. We're looking at the root zone soil moisture drought indicator as of January 30th. And this captures the most recent rainfall that we saw in parts of Argentina and southern Brazil. So, what sticks out to us immediately here are these areas of improvement in the Argentinian crop regions that were previously very dry. This is a notable improvement for this area in the root zone soil. So good news in this general vicinity. But what also sticks out is how dry it remains in parts of southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, remaining quite dry in this region, and also the wetness in central Brazil. Right, this area has been wet and active and remains that way. If we look at the surface soil moisture and just compare the two, we can see where the bulk of that heavy rainfall fell and remains on the surface in northern Argentina. But even arcing down further east into Cordoba, you can see exactly where this area's rains verified, and that's good news for a lot of Argentinian crop regions. But on the contrary, it remains very dry here in parts of southern Brazil. This area did not cash in on enough rainfall to take the edge off the dryness. And I think that this area here of southern Brazil is going to become a focus as we move later into the season here, as is this arc of wetness when the harvest obviously comes around here down the road. So there's important things to keep in mind. And the maps, the overall precipitation compared to normal sort of echoes that. Here's Rio Grande do Sul. You can see that they've been running well below normal for quite some time, and there's not really, in the last week or so down here, there's not really a marked improvement. It's just sort of a gradual improvement, not really a major improvement. And Rio Grande do Sul as a whole in their corn regions remain 5+ inches below normal. There's a deficit of 5 inches or more in rainfall. Looking at Argentina, we can see the recent rains with these improvements generally ticking upward. But what we continue to note and obviously understand in the forecast is that the area, Argentina in general, despite these recent sort of upticks in rain and getting us a little closer to normal, still needs quite a bit of rainfall. The total accumulated precipitation over the last 60 days is way behind, still 3+ inches behind, even despite those recent rains. So let's look at what we can expect here in the short term. We know we've put a little bit of a dent in things, but it's still quite a ways to go. We do have a frontal boundary moving across northern Argentina here late this week, and the models generally keep this precipitation fairly scattered after today. We do have an area of showers and storms moving into central Argentina, and maybe including here impacting parts of southern Brazil. This would be important rains, but generally this is fairly light, 7 to 12 millimeters scattered, and then it moves off to the north. And what follows after that into the early part of next week is another period of dryness across these key areas as that jet stream shifts back northward into central Brazil. From a temperature perspective, in the short term, looking at these individual days, we've been cooler, but we're seeing a little bit of a warm up now. And then from late this weekend into early next week, we will see that warmth come back into parts of Argentina during that time frame as well. Individual precipitation risks moving forward. The models generally keep things dry through next week. This is the 72 hours ending on February 9th, and it's very clear that there is dry pockets redeveloping here across Argentina and southern Brazil, and our jet stream, the core of that jet is pointing back into central Brazil again. So when we look at this from an anomaly perspective over the next 7 days and 10 days, this is ending February 10th. Here's the core of your jet moving back into central Brazil, north central Brazil, I should say, to Mato Grosso do Sul, areas like Paraná, Sao Paulo, and further south into these areas of Argentina and southern Brazil that have been dry. We are once again looking at that dryness over the next 10 days. So obviously not an ideal pattern in this region. Moving forward and looking at what happens as we head towards mid-month, the models keep things dry through at least the 10th of February. And you can see this general jet stream pattern continues to pull the moisture northward into this sort of pocket, this orientation here where you have a ridge of high pressure developing here. This is your circulation here, but around this side comes the jet moving further north. But what happens as we roll this forward is all of a sudden we start to see a frontal boundary return as we move past the 10th towards the period really is between the 12th and the 15th of February. And that's when the models are suggesting that moisture could return to the forecast. A frontal boundary coming through parts of Argentina, entering parts of southern Brazil. And this is obviously an ensemble mean signal, so we're seeing sort of a very smoothed out look. But this overall region here showing up now for the period between the 12th and the 15th for another return to possible moisture. If you look at this in 24-hour increments, it's really the afternoon of the 12th moving through the 15th when that frontal boundary moves through. And this should include the possibility of showers and storms in northern Argentina as well as southern Brazil, at least as it is indicated now. And those 5-day anomalies show up as well with the European model here showing this area of above normal precipitation ending on the 16th. So throughout northern Argentina and southern Brazil, it's dry for the next 10 days or so, and then we'll monitor that mid-February precipitation risk as well. Looking further northward in Brazil, the model's keeping things dry temporarily here across Mato Grosso, which obviously is welcomed. Then we get a bit more precipitation as that jet creeps into the southern parts of Mato Grosso. And you can see even to the south here, that high pressure dominating here and your jet coming in. But then as we move closer to mid-month again, the models start drying things out again because your jet stream is back down in Argentina and southern Brazil. And so you're allowed to get this dryness up here in north central Brazil, which I think overall is a net positive. If you look at this overall pattern, we don't want it to get too dry, but this area did get plenty of rain and clouds for a prolonged period of time. So we'll watch this dryness. This is the next 15 days on average, and you can see where this jet stream is pointed here during that time frame. I do want to keep an eye on this general vicinity here, really from Sao Paulo to Paraná, Mato Grosso do Sul. It has been trending wetter, and the forecast in this area continues to look quite wet for the foreseeable future. And obviously, moisture is good, but too much moisture, too much clouds, the forecast continues to put the jet in this area for some period of time through mid and possibly even late February. And I just want to keep an eye on this area so that we don't get too wet as we move forward during that time frame. So again, the highlights, especially in the Argentina and southern Brazil regions, are going to be this dryness and warmth redeveloping as we move through the first 10 days of February, drier and trending warmer. And then as we head towards mid-month, the models bring a precipitation risk back, and we'll be monitoring that very, very closely. If you guys have any questions, give us a shout. We're here all day. Plenty of reports and information coming your way. Have a great Wednesday, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.